Visitors, good afternoon. Now we will discuss about the presentation of a cultural project, Music for Peace, in honor of the United Nations 7th anniversary. Our speakers are Neal, United Nations Development Program resident representative, Herman Makarenko, conductor of the National Academic Opera and Ballet Theatre of Ukraine, named after Taras Shevchenko, and Roman Shpek, ex-Minister of Economy of Ukraine, head of delegation of the European Union to 2000 to 2008, who is the senior advisor to the President of Ukraine and to the chairman of Alfa-Bank board. Senior advisor to the President of Alfa-Bank. And good afternoon, dear friends. Alfa-Bank Ukraine, owners and employees of Alfa-Bank like the music. But most of all, we love Ukraine and we support good initiatives starting in Ukraine, like this one that was proposed by our well-known conductor and my friend of many years, and there was such a good reason to celebrate the 70th anniversary of United Nations. Ukraine was among the 52 countries fondators of this organization. The country that suffered from Second World War, and we believed that if politicians officially join, they can adjust mechanism to stop new conflicts. Today's life shows it's not what we wanted. We have Crimea annexed, we have military conflict in the east of Ukraine, and we, Alfa-Bank, use this possibility, using the voices of children, using their music to stop the sounds of shelling. We think that our voice will be heard not just in Ukraine, in opera theater, but also the voice of Ukraine, the voice of young Ukrainian, and everybody joined the idea of keeping the peace and building of strong Ukrainian state, that we can influence the decisions of politicians in Berlin, Moscow, Washington, and New York, as we are for peace. And that's why we supported such a great idea. For us, it's a privilege. It's a great honor for us, together with other representatives of business, to be involved into this project, arranged by the constant representation of United Nations in Ukraine. And such a cooperation, diplomatic, state, cultural and private institutions will give the possibility to the participations and the guests of this event to see that Ukraine is united. And as for me, the advantage of this idea is that young voices of Ukraine are for peace, for stability, for stable country. And I think that with the time, United Nations organization will become more powerful in standing for principles and idea it was created for. But now I would like to finish with the word that for us it's very important to take a part in such event and to show our position as we as a bank with strong reputation, with good stable financial status, and we want to show that we don't have just Alpha Jazz in Lviv, but also these events on the general state level in Kyiv, and we want to support them, and we will do it in the future. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Roman. And now I give the floor to the next guest, Herman Makarenko and Neal. As you wish, you can go it one by one or together. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, dear friends. For me, it's a great honor, and I'm pleased very much to be here today, this press conference, because of this concept, because of this project that will happen literally tomorrow. The celebration of 70th anniversary of United Nations. First of all, I would like to thank those people, those organizations, without which this celebration would never happen. This representation of United Nations in Ukraine, in the person of Neal Walker, Alfa-Bank, in the person of Herman Shpek, who are not just partners of this event, but also the people who share our opinions, people who share the high ideals of United Nations. Thank you very much for that. And coming back to the project, I would like to tell you that I'm very pleased to take a part in this concert. And also I'm 3 times pleased because we, Kyiv-Classic Orchestra, we take part for the 3rd time already in the celebration of United Nations anniversary. First time it was 10 years ago, 60th anniversary. Second one 5 years ago, 65th anniversary, and today. And 10 years ago, when Mr. O'Donnell and UN office in Ukraine proposed me and asked me for my ideas for the celebration of UN anniversary, I proposed them to celebrate it with the concert, music of all continents. And this idea was very convenient because you know very much that UN joins all the countries, and in the whole, according to protocol, there are ambassadors of all countries accredited in Ukraine, and every country has a definite level of economic growth, political system, religious views. And it would be very difficult to propose something except for music, as I know, according to our concert in Iran, for example, dress code of our female colleagues was very thoroughly, and it was checked. And to propose dance, for example, classic dance, for example, all of us are accustomed to classic dance, but for example, ambassadors of Arabic country might be insulted. And music is that universal tool, universal language that first of all doesn't need any interpretation, and second, it's clear for everybody of every age, from every country, nationality, religious views, etc. And that idea was accepted, and really we played on this concert. There was a music of North and South America, Australia, Asia, Europe. Most of these works were executed for the first time. According to BBC, it was the best idea of UN celebration in the world. In 5 years, again, UN office in Ukraine proposed us to make the same idea, but with different countries, with different program, I mean music. This year I had initiative to show the culture, not the different regions of the world, but the different regions of Ukraine. As all of you know, Ukraine has very interesting, wide, different cultures. The culture of every region is different from neighboring regions. So it would be very interesting to show the culture of different regions, I mean South, North, East and West, as a symbol of united Ukraine. That idea was adopted positively and we started developing it. And most of the participants of these concerts were children, as a symbol of peace and bright future, not just of Ukraine, but of all the world. And it's very actual for UN, as we know how many flashpoints exist in the world at the moment. That's what we were working on for 6 months, for the whole summer. We were selecting key kids, teams, crews, and singers in Ukraine. And on the final stage in September, everybody was selected. And now there are final general rehearsals. I don't want to tell you all the secrets of these projects because I like to tell about the concert after it happens. But I was impressed even by the fact that we have no less than 250 participants, 250, and most of them are kids. And I think it's very symbolic also, because the most mass organization in the world is UN that joins everybody, and if we are not close to it, at least we were trying to reflect it within the borders of Ukraine. We reflected that quality of UN. We will present how we will build our program. Every region, as I told already, north, east, west, and south, and center, will be represented by two parties. Plus, they will be executed by authentic executors who came from these regions of Ukraine. Talking about geography, for the time being, our participants from Ivano-Frankivsk, very powerful group, Lviv, Chernihiv, Sumy. East is presented by Kharkiv, Lugansk, and Odessa in the south, Crimea. And center is presented by Cherkasy and Zaporizhia. So if talking about programs, there will be two plays from every region, and the frame of the program will be the works that became the musical presentation of Ukraine in the world. The opening overture will be overture to Taras Bulba opera as a symbol of patriotic spirit of our people. Then there will be work that is connected to a very interesting case in my career, because some years ago I've been to Montreal to musical festival, and after concert we had a conversation with my colleague, and we started talking about Shedrik. And he told me, yes, Shedrik, it's our famous melody. But I told him, no, it's our well-known melody. But he told me, no, it's Canadian well-known melody. And I told him, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I can give you the author of this melody, Mikhail Leontovich. He was a little furious because of that, because as you know, it's called Carol the Bells or something. This is the name of our song, Shedrik. In this song, these melodies, that's what helps us to represent Ukraine abroad. And at the end of the concert, there will be very famous duet of Odarka and Fish from other famous Ukrainian opera. And you know, every time I'm hearing to this opera, I'm surprised how it was possible to convert the normal argue in the kitchen to the work of art that you enjoy every time you hear it. And at the very end, there will be the chorus from the same Ukrainian opera that is now well-known praying for Ukraine. That's it. If talking about the creative aspect of the event, the program will be the same. I want to repeat that I'm very pleased, I'm honored to celebrate this event together with UN and Alfa-Bank. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Mr. German.
Next guest, Neal Walker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here with you today. 70 years the United Nations has been fighting for peace, has been fighting for respect for human rights, for social and economic development around the world. For 70 years, Ukraine has been a critical partner. We can look at it in any way you would like. We can look at the contributions to the World Food Program over many decades, food going out of this country to help other countries. We can look at the contributions to the peacekeeping troops around the world, Ukrainian peacekeeping troops contributing around the world to maintaining peace. We can look at leadership of the General Assembly on a couple of occasions that Ukraine has actually led the United Nations in that way, and most recently with regards to its election by 177 countries to the Security Council. Ukraine is part and parcel, profoundly a part of the United Nations system. On the ground, we're extraordinarily proud of the relationship we have developed with civil society, private sector, with the government on a number of issues. Humanitarian, critical, life-saving humanitarian support for all citizens in the country. More importantly, or at least as important, recovery, return to jobs, economic development, reform of the economy, and respect for human rights. On the ground, United Nations is incredibly active. But what does the United Nations mean to me? I actually see it best reflected in the culture that we see here of music and of solidarity. I've been extraordinarily impressed in the year that I'm here with the solidarity that Ukrainians show to all of those who have been displaced and affected by the conflict in the East. And I've also been deeply impressed by the long history of music and dance that I've been able to enjoy. So when I think about all of these issues, somehow it's not easy to imagine a better way for us to somehow express the values of peace than through such an artistic event as we're organizing around the 70th anniversary of the United Nations, bringing children from all over the country under the amazing artistic guidance of Herman Makarenko in the opera. For me, it's just a unique opportunity to allow Ukrainians to see a vision of peace as reflected through the eyes of the children, as reflected through the artistic talent of the people in this country. And for me, it's just a really moving opportunity, and I really hope that everyone will be able to join in. In order to make it so, we have in fact put this online. It will be online, live, so even if you're not in the concert hall itself, you'll be able to see this. And I think it's just it's a fantastic opportunity for these children, but also for Ukraine itself to feel the joy that comes out of that kind of artistic expression, to feel the achievements of these young children, as well as to live the song of peace that they're singing with such passion and conviction. So in concluding, I would just like to express my enormous thanks to Roman Shpek for leading a consortium of private sector organizations that have supported us, of course Alfa-Bank, and also to recognize Herman Makarenko and his incredible talent, contributing not the first time, not the second time, but the third time to the celebration of critical United Nations anniversaries. And we really look forward to your participation and to hearing the children sing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for addressing us. And now I would like to invite all the speakers on stage for questions and answers. Я б хотіла запросити всіх наших гостей на сцену для запитань та відповідей.
Dear journalists, if you have any questions or comments, this is a due time to ask them. If you don't have anything against, I'll start.
Our guest from the United Nations. Many experts, many military experts now believe that with this conflict in Ukraine, both, analyzing the situation with both Crimea and Donbass, we see that the power of UN has slightly changed, and many people speak about the fact that UN doesn't have that big of an influence anymore. Do you believe this is true?
The voice of the United Nations is very clear in support of peace everywhere in the world, and I think that the discussions at the Security Council have been enormously important in terms of highlighting the wish of all nations for peace in Ukraine. I also think that the incredible solidarity of the General Assembly's vote putting Ukraine into the Security Council is a reflection of all of this. I also think that actions speak louder than words. The General Assembly, this is the parliament of the world. I would ask any citizen to speak frankly about their views of their own parliament. What matters are the actions on the ground: core, life-saving humanitarian action, early recovery, putting people back to work, as well as the support to reform, the reports on human rights. These are the best reports on human rights. What better reflects the revolution of dignity than the concept of human rights? All of these are powerful actions that the United Nations system is carrying out on the ground in close collaboration, not only with the government, but with civil society. And I think that these are the words that speak to peace.
Thank you very much. I know that we had some questions from Ukrinform. Я знаю, що у нас було декілька запитань від Ukrinformu. Прошу, the questions will come in Ukrainian.
Okay. Could you please tell us something more about this concert? Will it be re-performed in some other countries around the world? This is a question to me. In that format, doubtfully we will be able to re-perform it, but we have already discussed it with Mr. Yuri Sergeyev, who is our representative in the New York UN office, and maybe certain shortened version of this concert will be performed in New York, because you understand that crossing the Atlantic and to show all the 250 people and with all the instruments, etc. This is very difficult. As for the time, may it be in November, in the beginning of November, but this is all the preliminary talks. Of course, we have certain interest to do that, but it is difficult in sense of financial support. If we will manage to find somebody like Alfa-Bank in New York, of course it will be very good. And of course no problem between us and UN, understanding is full, but we have some financial issues to be solved. Are there any more questions? Maria Yemets, Ukrainian Crisis Media Center. Question to Herman. What music higher institutions or universities will be represented? To my understanding, will be Tchaikovsky Conservatorium. Thank you for your question. Vizerunki, embroidery from Kosiv. It's Hutsul musicians. Vocational musical school from Lviv, from Kharkiv. Music school from Chernihiv. Sumy Institute, Music Institute, Donetsk Music High School, Zaporizhia Lyceum, Cherkasy Palace of Youth and Children, Kyiv Choir, Boys Choir, Dзвіночок, Kyiv Girls Choir, with a soloist from the academy named after Lysenko, the dance academy named after Serge Lifar. We are speaking about children teams. And of course several soloists from Ukraine: Sergei Magera, Natalka Nikolaishin, Valentin Detyuk, and soloist, belly soloist Tatiana Eliosova. Thank you. Are there any more questions? Internet.
Recently, the president of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, said that if the situation at the east of Ukraine escalates, Ukraine will pursue its initiative for peacekeeping UN peacekeeping mission at the east of Ukraine. So, what is your forecast for the situation at Donbass? What do you think about this peacekeeping mission, and whether Ukraine's election to this council, Security Council, will help to make it possible? Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, I think we need to recognize that for the past month and a half, we've had peace, relative peace, let's put it that way, along the contact line, that the ceasefire has been roughly holding, not perfectly, but pretty close. Civilian deaths are linked to unexploded ordnance, mines, which actually constitutes a significant long-term problem that needs to be addressed. But we have a situation right now of peace, and we would like to consider that this will continue. I think if the issue of peacekeeping troops for the country is put forward, that it has to be a decision made by the Security Council, and it would be discussed there. There has been discussion so far. This has not materialized as an option right now. But rather than think about that, I'd like to focus on the fact that we are in a situation of relative peace, that there's an opportunity for political discussion around longer-term solutions, and that this in fact is what we need to focus on, how to make that work.
Thank you very much. На цьому будемо завершувати, бо далі маємо вже наступний брифінг.
Let us agree that this briefing is over. The concert will be online on 21st of October, First National TV channel of Ukraine, and 24th October. It will be 1 p.m. at First Ukrainian National TV channel. As well, you may visit the UN website in